Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you are having a great time. I guess you can call this the Irish Bandit show for now. Just quickly, I haven't totally decided on what to do for a return of sorts. So I think for now what I'm just going to do is I'm going to try to upload a video every week and try to stick to that schedule. I have nothing planned, like no ideas for a return for Irish Bandit Revolution or anything, but we'll see where this takes us. I've got a few things planned over the next little while, so be sure to be tuned in for that one. But anyway, the reason why we're here today, I was looking back at a video that I did in 2017 where I was counting down my 5 all-time favorite villains from any medium. And since 2017 to today, that list has changed greatly. Some people have been shuffled around, some people have been taken off the list. Someone stayed in their position that they were in the original video. If you haven't seen it, there's a card right there, or there, or there, or there, or there, or there, or somewhere of the original list where you can see the original top 5. Today, we are going to look at the top 5 favorite villains of mine revisited. And let's just kick it off. He dropped down from number 3 to number 5. Still an intense villain to this very, very day. We're talking from the world of Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth. So in the original video, I spoke a lot about Sephiroth and his backstory a little bit. He was the son of Genova, the headless creature you see in the Shinra building. He actually took the head from one of the Shinra research facilities in Nibelheim. If I have this right, he's like 7 feet tall, and he carries this 5-foot-long katana with him. And it is impressive to see, like seeing a guy like that wield something that big. That's a little bit of a spoil of what happens in the game, but he does the most reprehensible thing I've ever seen in a video game. No spoilers, but it's the scene that made a million fanboys cry, including this one. And thinking about it, with the remake now out, part 2 should be on the way sometime soon in the next... Well, I mean, they announced the remake in 2015 and it didn't come out till 2020, and I'm hoping it doesn't take that long for part 2 to come out for Final Fantasy remake, Final Fantasy VII remake. But Sephiroth is just... he's one of the people, when I think of a bad guy, he is like near the top of the list. He's cold, he's emotionless for the most part, if he's not going insane, and just cool looking too, like the silver hair and the black, and he just looks amazing whatever he's doing, exceptions aside. Now, like I said, he dropped down a little bit on this list, but it doesn't take away his importance, and I think Sephiroth is one of the best. Making his first appearance on this list, I bumped Bobby the Brain Heenan off for professional wrestling for this guy. He is the 21st century bad guy. He lives the gimmick of this better than you, nose in the air bastard. It's the best way I can put it. He is so good at it. So he makes you enjoy hating him. He's like early days Rowdy Roddy Piper. You love to hate him, and he is, at only 25 years old, he's already solidifying himself as one of the best in professional wrestling today. He's a top star in AEW. He's the leader of the Pinnacle faction. At number 4, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. So we've all been watching MJF for years. We just haven't known it yet. In 2001, at just a young age, he was on the Rosie O'Donnell show singing You Are My Sunshine in like this operatic version. And then as he grew up, he wanted to be a professional wrestler since he was just a little kid. And he was training at Brian Myers, he used to be known as Kurt Hawkins in the WWE. He was training at his facility, Create Pro, where he got his start on Grimm's Toy Show wrestling. So from there, he just kind of snowballed. he worked for promotions like MWL or MLW, Major League Wrestling. He had like a brief little thing in WWE that he doesn't talk about, where he was a security guard for NXT champion Samoa Joe, and Joe just kind of pushed him out of the way. They kind of made a reference to that during MJF's program with John Moxley for the AEW championship, where he pushed one of his aides out of the way. One of the funniest things. That's one of the things about MJF. He's also really funny too. Like, he can make you hate him, but you can also laugh at the stuff that he does. It is just, he's entertaining, which is what you should be. And he's one of those guys that I never want to see as a babyface in professional wrestling. He doesn't have it in him. He's a natural heel at heart. And along those lines, I also don't want to see him go to the WWE because they'll just totally ruin him. He needs to stay away from the WWE. I think AEW is a great fit for him. And he's worked with some great competitors in AEW. The current feud he's having with Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle is just fantastic. You have this young, hungry guy coming up and the established mega star in Chris Jericho. You know, these are two of my favorites from two different generations because Chris Jericho has been going since the 90s and MJF hasn't even hit his peak yet. He's only 25 years old and he's still got a long way to go barring injury. See, that's the thing. As long as he doesn't get injured, the sky's the limit for MJF, and I see big things for him in the future. Coming in at number 3, he got bumped off from number 2 from my original list, but that still does not take away his importance. He's been in all forms of media, starting off in comic books, TV shows, movies, animation. He's been played by some fantastic actors like Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, well, we won't talk about that. He's been voiced by amazing voice actors like Mark Hamill, Joe DiMaggio. Oh gosh, who else? He is what you think of when you think of a villain. Coming in at number 3, my favorite comic book villain, the Joker. So I talked quite a bit about Joker and his history in the original video. I'm not going to get too much more into that because you already know my infatuation with the Joker. He's just, you know, the polar opposite of Batman, where Batman is like dark and stoic and heroic. And Joker is colorful and maniacal and psychotic in some cases. And like I said, he's been played by some fantastic actors, like Cesar Romero in the original Batman series from the 1960s. Again, let me reiterate, Batman was not supposed to be over the top, but Adam West kind of made him over the top. The Joker, on the other hand, Cesar Romero hammed that up perfectly. And just to show you how much of a badass Cesar Romero is, they wanted him to shave his mustache for the role of the Joker. He wouldn't do it, so they just painted over it. And, you know, Cesar Romero was just kind of a badass that way. Then to be played by Jack Nicholson in the '89 Tim Burton movie, that was an awesome role for him. One of the scenes that always sticks out to me is like when Bruce Wayne confronts Joker in Vicky Vale's apartment and Joker shoots Bruce Wayne. Never rub another man's rhubarb. It looked like Jack Nicholson was actually having fun on the set of Batman. So that's wonderful performance. And then the one we all remember, The Dark Knight, starring Heath Ledger as the Joker. It's like I said in the original review, or in the original top 5. You know, I thought of Heath Ledger as this pretty boy, and he totally blew me away in his final full role. He did have another role. He was filming something else at the time of his death, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. There were a few scenes that he didn't get done before his death, which Jude Law, Colin Farrell, and Johnny Depp stepped in. I don't think they even got paid for it, which is awesome for them. Or if they did, it went to Heath Ledger's family, which is even better. But I could be misconstruing my facts there. And then you take a look at the history back in the comic books. You know, Batman was in the first ever. Joker was in the first ever Batman comic. And in his first appearance, he was killed. He didn't come back until the 1970s, and he's gone strong this very day through all the reboots and all the BS that DC has done. The Joker has remained. Like I still think of the New 52 Joker with the stapled face, and I can see where Bray Wyatt got the idea for the Fiend from that. And that's pretty cool when you make that connection, comic books and professional wrestling. I don't complain about that one. But the Joker to this day is my all-time favorite comic book villain, but there are two other villains on my all-time list that rank above that. Coming in at number 2, making his debut, he was over the top. He was just vindictive, fun, and had a little bit of a mean streak to him as well. From Karate Kid Part 3, Terry Silver. So yes, Terry Silver is new on this list, but I mean, the reason why he's new on this list is because I didn't watch Karate Kid Part 3 until recently. I know, it's a shame. I grew up with the original Karate Kid movie, but I don't think I ever watched the other two, Karate Kid Part 2 and Karate Kid Part 3. Now, granted, Karate Kid Part 3 isn't great, but it's one of those things where I don't think it deserves the hate it gets, because I know Ralph Macchio says it's not one of his favorites, but it's not one of my favorites, but I don't hate it. I think it has a good value to it. And we see a different side of Daniel in that movie because he breaks away from Mr. Miyagi and goes to train with Terry Silver under the pretense that, what's his face? John Kreese has died. And Martin Kove in that movie. There's this one scene in Karate Kid Part 3 where Daniel thinks that John Kreese is dead at this point, and this is where Silver, Kreese, and Mike Barnes all spring their trap on Daniel. So Daniel goes to leave the Cobra Kai dojo, and being the egotist he is, John Kreese is standing behind a cardboard standee of him, jumps out, makes this weird face. I can't make the face that Martin Kove does, but it's so ridiculous and over the top and so funny. I love it. I love campy cheese like that. It's so fun. But Terry Silver is just this awesome villain with his facial expressions. He's like the archetypical rich prick who who runs a toxic waste factory or something like that. Toxic waste disposal. But he's also co-owner of Cobra Kai. So they go into Kreese's and Terry Silver's backstory in Cobra Kai, the series, which if you have not watched, you should. It is fantastic. And we're going to get more season 4 in just one moment here. But they go into their backstory of how they served together in Vietnam and how Kreese saved Silver's life. So I can't wait to see how they play that up in season 4 of Cobra Kai, because Terry Silver's returning. Yeah! Oh, this is going to be so awesome. They made the announcement like just a couple of weeks ago. You see a back shot of Terry Silver, and when you say Silver, like, he literally loses his name now because his hair is completely white. And it's just goosebumps, and I can't wait for season 4. They said it's coming later this year. I'm holding Netflix to that. That season 4 comes out before the end of 2021. And we'll see just how bad Terry Silver is. So before we get to number 1, let's just quickly run down a list of the honorable mentions. Some of these were in the original list. Some of these are holdovers from the list as well. They were honorable mentions then. They're still honorable mentions now. Let's have a quick look. And finally, keeping his blood-drenched crown firmly in grasp, he's still my favorite villain of all time. The one, the only, Freddy Krueger. Now, I grew up a child of the age, so I know who Freddy Krueger is. I have every Nightmare on Elm Street movie is my favorite horror movie series. Just a quick sidebar, because it's actually kind of funny, because Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite series of movies. But my favorite horror movie of all time is Halloween, where Nightmare on Elm Street, it had its, its ups and downs. It was still overall a great series and had a bit of a narrative to it that you could follow. There was no sort of narrative with Halloween. Like, the first Halloween movie was fantastic. Halloween 2 was really good, and then Halloween 3 just kind of ditched Michael Myers and went to a new place, which wasn't bad per se, but if they didn't call it Halloween 3 and just left it as Season of the Witch, it would have done better. But everyone was going to Halloween 3 expecting to see Michael Myers, and were completely disappointed when he didn't show up, which is why he returned for Halloween 4, 5, and 6. Halloween 6 is generally one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And then it was like, okay, well, let's forget everything after Halloween 2 for Halloween H2O, and we'll just refresh. And then you had Halloween H2O, which was really good. I enjoyed that one. Halloween Resurrection, which is like Halloween 6. It was really piss poor. And then you had the Rob Zombie movies, where the first Rob Zombie movie was okay. I enjoyed it. The second one, it was all right. And then in 2018, you had the new Halloween movie, which was like, forget everything after Halloween. This is going to be a direct sequel. And they kind of poked fun at that, too, because in the movie they said, well, isn't your grandmother Michael Myers' sister? No, that was just a rumor made up. Okay, thanks. Thank you for just blowing away everything that we ever knew about Halloween. Boy, I rambled. We're not talking about Halloween. We're talking about Freddy Krueger. So, yes, Freddy Krueger still to this day is my favorite villain of all time. And, of course, like I said, growing up in the 80s, I know who Freddy Krueger was. It started my love of horror movies, just going back to all the old horror movies, because like Freddy Krueger just kind of splintered off, and then I was watching movies like Dracula and Frankenstein, and Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which got me into movies like Saw and The Purge. So my love of horror movies started with Nightmare on Elm Street. One of my favorite memories is sitting around Halloween with my dad and my nephew, who was like 8 years old at the time. I know there's going to be some backlash saying this, but he was 8 years old at the time. We were watching Nightmare on Elm Street, which was edited for TV on like a Detroit TV station. It was like late at night. All the good stuff's taken out. And yeah, that was a moment that I really enjoyed, just watching this with my dad and my nephew. But Freddy Krueger, played by the awesome Robert Englund, who, as of the filming of this video, it's his 74th birthday today. So happy birthday, Robert Englund. You're one of the nicest guys I've ever met. So, and Freddy Krueger, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Go figure that one out. So yeah, Freddy Krueger still tops in my book. So there we go, my revised top 5 favorite villains of all time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments section down below. Let me know who your 5 favorite villains are, or any of the ones that I put on my list on your list. Let me know in the section down below. In the description, you're going to see a link to my Redbubble store where you can pick up all your Irish Bandit merchandise. Yes, I still check to make sure that I'm not holding it upside down. This is the only one I have left too, so I've used all the other ones. Be sure to check the Irish Bandit shop on redbubble.com, where you can get all your Irish Bandit merchandise, t-shirts, stickers, phone cases for iPhone and Samsung, iPad cases, travel mugs, coffee mugs, whatever you are looking for. I'm going to have a look around and see if there's anything new I can put up there. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified when I go live with a new weekly video. Now, next week, we saw Terry Silver at number 2 on this list. He's coming back for Cobra Kai Season 4, and we're going to talk all about what I want to see in Season 4 of Cobra Kai next week. Oh, I'm looking forward to that season. Oh, Cobra Kai is my favorite TV show right now. Bar none, hands down. It is my favorite TV show. So if you haven't watched it, it is on Netflix right now, so go check it out. If you loved any of the Karate Kid movies, you're going to love Cobra Kai. I guarantee it, because I love all the Karate Kid movies, and I adore Cobra Kai. So check it out. And I will talk to you again next week for that.